How did all begin?
So good morning. This is my report. The process of evolution. Evolution is gradual change and the characteristic of the species. Over time, it is a process by natural selection, where individuals with traits that make them better suited to their environment are more likely to survive and to reproduce. And this is example of process evolution. Um, the pump, the paperid moth before the industrial revolution, most paperid moths in England were high colored, blending and with the lichen covered trees. They live they live on, however, as factories polluted the air, the trees darker moths now had better camouflage and were less likely to be eaten by birds. Over time, the pollution shifted the majority of pipered moths become dark. This is a classic example of how changing environment can drive evolution. Cut. How did all begin? At the beginning, the theory of landmark explaining how organisms acquire certain traits and pass on these traits to the next generation, leading to variation of organism, same plausible, however, with our modern understanding on heredity. Landmark theory is flowed a pregnant woman who develops a case on her rights. Arm will not pass this trait to her child or father who builds bigger and more toned muscula. By going the gym cannot pass this trait to his child even if he wishes to. But his theory paved way to biologists after him.
Charles Darwin, born February 12, 1809, Shrewsbury, Shropshire, England, died April 19, 1882. Down Kent was an English naturalist whose scientific theory of evolution by natural selection became the foundation of modern evolutionary studies. An affable country gentleman, Darwin at first shocked religious Victorian society by suggesting that animals and humans shared a common ancestry. However, his non-religious biology applied to the rising class of professional scientists, and by the time of his death, evolutionary imaginary had spread throughout all of the science, literature, and politics. Darwin himself, an agnostic, was accorded the ultimate British accolade of Browell and Westminster Abbey, London.
Good day everyone, I'm Akila B. Manangka, and today our next topic is about the Galapagos Island and the Galapagos finches. Galapagos Island, also known as Enchanted Island, and it will found in the west of South America. During that time in the Galapagos Island, Charles Darwin noticed how the organism in Galapagos group of island, like the mockingbirds he collected, vary from one island to another. He also noticed the climatic differences of each island, with one island being dry and barren, while the other receiving ample amount of rainfall and having more vegetation, and how the plants and animals reflect an adaptive mechanism to their environment. These islands are surrounded by a volcano, and when Charles Darwin visited to the Galapagos Island, he discovered several of finches. The Galapagos finches, a group of about 18 species of passerine birds, they are well known for their remarkable diversity in beak form and functions. So, Charles Darwin observed the Galapagos finches had a graded series of beak sizes and shapes. And these are the example of the Galapagos finches. And based on our example, you can see a lot of different kinds of beaks and shapes, and each of them have different functions.
Modern way of classifying organisms. In older classification systems, scientists relied mainly on physical features to determine how closely related different species were. For example, since humans, chimpanzees, and gorillas all have similar body structures and belong to the ape family, they were grouped together. But scientists couldn't be certain which two were most closely related within that group. With a modern approach, scientists can examine DNA directly looking at the actual genetic code of each species. This allows them to see which species share more genetic material, which is clearer indicator of how closely related they are. Example, humans, chimpanzees, and gorillas. Using DNA analysis, scientists discovered that humans and chimpanzees share about 98 to 99% of their DNA. This high percentage means they're very closely related. Gorillas share a bit less DNA with both humans and chimpanzees. This genetic information suggests that humans and chimpanzees had a more recent common ancestor, a species from which both evolved relatively recently. Gorillas branches off earlier, meaning their common ancestor with humans and chimps lived further back in time. And that's our report for the process of evolution and the origin and extinction of species.